This is part 8 of the What is Love series. And today I will be going over and attempting to delineate the topics of intuition, instinct, reflex, inner voice, deductive reasoning, gut feeling, and I think those are the topics that are sometimes mushed together. Another word for that is conflated. Actually, I shouldn't say conflated because that's bringing together two different things. These are similar, but definitely different. That's why we have different words. That's what's great about language and extensive language. And I think the English language has the most words. So English speaking peoples spent a lot of time fine-tuning what their intended thoughts were when looking to express themselves with others for clarity. So language is a tool for understanding one another. So a lot of times words are used and people have completely different understandings of what those words are or the meanings, which goes into these exact topics today, because human beings, and there's different kinds of us roaming the planet, have ways of using words incorrectly or distorting it for, the opposite of what love is. And love is attending to the emotional well-being of another being. So when that is not reciprocally present, and as I've said in other videos, the only time where it's not reciprocally present, or not necessarily reciprocally present, is with when it comes to children or animals. However, that you could watch in other videos that I've made, me tackling the delineation of those topics. So humans do not have instincts, and I learned this many years ago in psychology when I studied psychology. And however, animals do. So as you heard me describe in other videos, in my assessment of what I've seen and deduced, is animals operate their pure emotion, whereas human beings are informed mentally first, which then informs the emotions, which then informs the feelings, and then it informs the if there's any action to be taken, the thoughts and the perspective. So animals are informed by their emotions, which inform their feelings, which is what creates the instinct, which is not a reflex. A reflex is, humans do have reflex. It's when your knee is hit and it bounces. That's a reflex. And humans have the capacity that when we know that our knee is going to be hit, we can almost have the capacity to restrain the bounce reflex of our knee, for example. So let me see, I have my notes here. They're all over the place. Instinct is a lot of the times used interchangeably with gut feeling, like I felt this in my stomach, or I felt this in my chest, or I got nervous. But that is not really too interchangeable. Okay, a gut feeling is when you are informed fairly quickly of something that's happening in your presence, and you're not sure, you're not certain of what's going on. So you need to make a decision, most likely, and then you rely on your gut feeling to make that decision, which is which can be distorted. The gut feeling itself can be misinformed, because you don't have time to realize and excavate what is going on, and so it could be skew your perspective and skew a decision. In many cases, gut feelings have saved people, though, and saved their lives. So it's there for a reason and purpose, but we are really supposed to be have the capacity to explain why this gut feeling exists. Okay, and it's a feeling. You see, I use the word feeling again, and emotions inform our feelings. So we're feeling in the emotion of, review my other videos of all, especially the negative emotions, and emotions of elation can also misinform people and cause people to do strange and weird things, and they are behaving almost spontaneously. It's not reflexive. That's another good word, is spontaneous. Okay. In a spontaneous reaction. So the idea is that we're supposed to have the capacity to explain why we make certain decisions and why we feel the way we feel, because our mind is what informs the emotion that then creates the feeling. It's that sequence of events. And then we have intuition, which is, I believe, the coming together in the highest of all these topics that I'm relaying here. Okay, intuition is a quick assessment of the coming together of your deductive reasoning. So I didn't go over deductive reasoning, which is really good too. It's when you can. When you're deducing, which means when you're breaking down one thing happened, then the next thing happened, and the next thing happened, and now I can say I have the answer for the reason as to why something happened. I'm deducing, right? Which then informs a decision as well. If I'm not making any sense, I'm spend the time to figure out what I'm saying, and see how these areas of topic are related. Okay, and then you will have figured out what I'm saying. Okay, so intuition is a mixture of the feeling that you have, the emotion that you are experiencing, your mind of what you're mentally taking in, what you're thinking, all together, and you have an intuition is a forethought, something that is predicting the future in a way, like that an occurrence is going to happen, or a person's going to behave a certain way ahead of the time that person actually behaves in the way they're going to behave. You can already see and have forethought about it. Like, if I crash my car into this other car, the driver is going to be upset with me. That's a combination of deductive reasoning and my mental capacity to foresee what's going to transpire. Actually, that doesn't even take intuition. Intuition is a little beyond that, where it's beyond the deductive reasoning. It's and it's not the inner voice. The inner voice is I'm not too keen on the phrase or the concept of inner voice, because that might not make sense to people either. The inner voice is actually words you hear in your head that help you process or direct you. So it's actually feelings and emotions put into words, and beyond feelings and emotions, it's feelings, emotions, thought processes, and processing what is happening with your which informs your perspective, which then drives you forward into producing a voice that you listen to, your own thoughts that are being processed, so the inner voice, it might sound like too close to somebody that talks to themselves. Well, that's different than speaking out loud, right? If one's alone and they're speaking out loud, that might not really be talking to themselves. It depends what they're doing. Are they processing? Are they muttering? Are they ruminating? So an inner voice can actually become an outer voice where there is vocalization happening, which is different than, they also talk about a negative self-talk, which is different than the inner voice. The inner voice is kind of used interchangeably with gut feeling and instinct. Okay, so those capacities are to be fine-tooth combed, when we have the time to go over what are we feeling, why do I feel this way, why do I have this emotion flooding me, or why do I feel this emotion coming over me, or why am I emotional, okay? And when we don't do the work, then we have anxiety. So the idea is we have to turn ourselves to doing this work, to excavate what is going on inside of us. Now, which probably brings me to the most important point, is when we are robbed of our birthright, which is a right to have the capacity to go over this, we have an inability to do this. We might not even know we can do this, and it's a diminished capacity in general. It could be a skewed capacity, which might have a skewed perspective, which is where we run into people. Well, my truth is different than your truth, kind of talk. Truth is truth. Like I said, love is attending the emotional well-being of another being. Go out and test it. That is a truth. When love is the word love is applied loosely, then it doesn't hold up to this truth, and there could be a skewed perspective wherein one might hear another person say, well, he told me or she told me that he loved me or that she loved me. One person's idea of what love is, they might not say what their definition is, and they have no ground as how they ground themselves in the foundation of what it is they're pulling from. So this is a long video, but I wanted to, it was overdue. I haven't done one of these in a while, and of course I wanted to do this right after the last video, which I think I did in February, and I didn't have a chance to do that. So these are the concepts. What we want is the full capacity is to the highest of all of these capabilities is intuition, I believe. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, intuition is which operates the quickest, of using deductive reasoning, using perspective, right? And then kind of, those are the overlords of our reflex, of our reactions, right? Of our gut feelings, right? So the gut feeling needs to be processed. And we need all of these, but they are to be used with one another. I don't rely on people that say, oh, I had butterflies in my stomach. First of all, this person gave me butterflies in my stomach. To me, my perspective and my perception of that is when I first heard this term when I was a child, I thought, oh, it's like an elation kind of feeling. That's a good feeling. And then I would hear people use it in ways where it was like, it wasn't a good feeling, you know, that somebody caused them to have butterflies in their stomach. Butterflies, to me, are a beautiful thing. So if you have them in your stomach, why wouldn't it be fun or enjoyable? Where in reality, what the person is saying, they felt their stomach turn in a way, or some sort of sensation was activated in their stomach as a response to the circumstance that they were in and what was being activated. You know, a trigger, I don't like to use that word either, but a trigger is you know, also used loosely, and you know, to me it means a gun, so I don't like the idea of the trigger being, you know, that the more proper term should be activated, because activated does not have a negative connotation. It's just, it pulls our attention to what it is that needs attention within us. So the important thing is to take into consideration that there are humans walking around with a perspective that is different than yours, informed differently than yours, and their understanding of situations are completely different than yours. And there are people that can also manipulate these terms to suit themselves, to pull the wool over your eyes, and appear as a wolf in sheep's clothing. So keep in mind that it's important to excavate these terms and really have a full understanding of each of them. They're all different terms, and be on the alert when you hear them, and to question the people's context that they're using them in when you hear them used from other people, and possibly even when you use them yourself, so that you know these words might mean something to you that might not be the same to somebody else. You get a really good foundation for yourself with them. And so if you happen to say, well, it was my intuition, to somebody, be able to explain how that intuition that you had was possible within you and informed your decisions. Because when you can't explain what informed your intuition within the same breath to the person you're speaking with, then you yourself don't have the clarity on it. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to go over today. All right. You know, and there was some, I think I may have gone over in another video, the difference between spontaneity, and there was another word, impulsiveness, right? And people use those words interchangeably too. Spontaneity is a good behavior and quality characteristic to have in a personality, whereas impulsiveness is not. Oh, it's being spontaneous. When you hear that and it's an excuse for poor behavior or for a poor outcome, then it was really something that was impulsive. Spontaneity is a quality that is enjoyed all around by whoever's in its vicinity when it happens and comes out of a person. So this has been the What is Love series, episode 8. And if you have any questions and you need further clarity, you know, let me know in the comments, and I will provide more clarity if I can. And listen to those great therapists out there. This is how I'm able to have, you know, informed myself and bettered my own understanding of our language that we use to communicate with others, so that we can better understand one another, or glean whether someone is purposefully not understanding us.